Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name's Isabella, and I will be doing my first trimester experience today. So if you see me looking down a lot, it's because I have this notebook here with just a list of things that I don't want to forget to mention in this video. So let's just get right into it. So my first trimester, I had a lot of stress and anxiety. Sometimes with pregnancy, you'll have an increased anxiety, and I definitely had that for sure. And my increase in stress was really just caused by my family not knowing and having to keep it a secret, and people at school not knowing quite yet. And so I was super worried about all that, and it wasn't that I was worried about how people would react, it was more of worrying about if they would treat me differently, I guess. So a lot of people in first trimester, a common symptom is morning sickness, and for a lot of people it's either just in the morning or just at night. Well, I had morning sickness all day and all night. It was the worst thing I have ever felt as far as nausea. I was nauseous and dizzy and lightheaded all day and all night. I couldn't figure out anything to eat because nothing sat right. When I first found out I was pregnant, we went on vacation to Yosemite, and when we were there, I was so sick I would have to carry a bowl around with me because I thought I was going to puke. But it just sucked because I couldn't puke, and I thought that actually getting sick would make me feel better. But I didn't get to do that. I just felt really sick and like I was going to all the time. So that really sucked a lot. My first trimester, I also ended up having a bad reaction to Chinese food. I love Chinese food. It was my favorite food ever. I would eat it all the time before I got pregnant. The first time I ate it after I found out I was pregnant, I got really, really sick. My body just completely rejected it, and I was sick all night. The second time I had Chinese food when I was pregnant, I actually didn't react to it, so it wasn't that much of an issue. I was fine. I felt great. It was really good. But the third time I ate it, I got food poisoning, and that was a really, really scary experience because I didn't know how that would impact the baby and her growth, and if something bad would happen. I got really, really dehydrated when I had food poisoning from Chinese food because I couldn't even drink any water. I couldn't take anti-nausea medicine. I couldn't keep anything down at all, not even the smallest sip of water. I was so, so sick, and I was getting sick all day, and then around 9 o'clock at night I was still getting sick, and we almost actually went to the hospital for IV fluids because I was getting so dehydrated that it was getting dangerous for the baby. But luckily we figured out a way to get the anti-nausea meds in. We kind of crushed them up, and then I had to put little dabs on my tongue and then let it dissolve and then wait and then do it again in 30 minutes and just keep doing that until I could take a sip of water and keep it down. So that really sucked. It also made my tongue really numb. So I was really, really sick first trimester, and it finally went away when I was 14 weeks. It started fading away, which was awesome, and by 16 weeks it was completely gone. So that was a great relief. First trimester, with prenatals, you should take prenatals when you're pregnant because a lot of people don't get all the vitamins and minerals they need for themselves when they're not pregnant, let alone when they are. And so that was definitely a concern for me. So I had to be really sneaky and lie to my parents when I was going to the store, and then when I was there I had to lie about what I was getting and all this stuff. It was really, really stressful, obviously. So my first bottle of prenatals, I was taking this gummy prenatal, and I thought it had iron in it, and turns out it didn't, which I didn't find out until I don't know, probably 10 or 11 weeks pregnant. I was like, oh man, that's not good, because I already had iron deficiency anemia pre-pregnancy. So that was definitely a concern. So I switched to the 1-a-day prenatal vitamin that has DHA, folic acid, and iron in it, and it says it right on the bottom of the bottle, and that one has been really, really great. I don't get any nausea or side effects from that one, It's really good. It also helps if you take prenatals at night, because then if you are getting nauseous from them, you'll sleep through the nausea. And usually that nausea is caused from the iron. I also struggled with like hair loss and breathlessness, which was really weird because you usually don't get breathlessness till like mid-end second trimester, beginning of third or something. And you aren't supposed to be losing hair while you're pregnant either. You usually get like healthier, fuller hair that grows faster. But my hair was falling out like worse than it did when I wasn't pregnant, which was already really bad. And we later found out that was actually because my pregnancy was causing me to have hypothyroidism. So my thyroid wasn't being as active as it should, and they had to put me on a medication called Synthroid to help with that, and it has helped with it. My hair is healthy and stays in now, which is good. But that was very scary because hypothyroidism during pregnancy can cause miscarriage, placenta previa, it can cause placental abruption, and a whole array of other issues that you don't want with your baby. So it usually goes undetected, and they don't test for it unless you are pregnant, so that was definitely really freaky to find out about. At the beginning of my pregnancy, we took a trip to Yosemite National Park, and that was super awesome. We had it planned for a long time, and it was definitely one of the best trips I have ever been on in my life, and if you haven't gone, you definitely need to go. It is absolutely gorgeous. But while we were there, we were hiking a lot, and on the first day we did this hike that was like a 3,200 foot elevation change each way, and it was really scary for me because I didn't know if that was safe for the baby, and I couldn't just say, oh, you know, I can't do this because I'm pregnant, or I need to go a little slower or take a break because I'm pregnant, because my family didn't know yet, and I was worried about ruining the vacation like by telling them. And so I was planning on waiting until afterwards to tell them that because I didn't want to ruin the trip, but I couldn't say anything because I didn't want to ruin the trip. So that was super scary, especially because there was a couple times where I had spotting, and I was horrified that I was going to have a miscarriage, either because I was overworking myself or because I was just unhealthy pre-pregnancy. So that was definitely a really, really scary experience for me. And I didn't have anyone to talk to about it except for my boyfriend and one of my friends who already knew. Pre-pregnancy, I was a double extra small to an extra small, and I only weighed 110 to 112 pounds, so I wasn't healthy by any means. I'm 5'8", so I should be weighing like 145 pounds at least, probably, while I'm not pregnant, which I definitely didn't. I was super unhealthy and underweight, and so I worried a lot about like how that was gonna affect, you know, my baby. Like, would my pre-pregnancy health affect how my baby was going to develop, or how she had already developed by the time I found out I was pregnant? And I also had to struggle a lot with changing my eating habits and changing my sleeping habits and my lifestyle. Essentially, I had to change my entire lifestyle so that I could be healthier and carry this baby healthy so that she would be healthy when she was born. So that was a huge struggle for sure. Because I couldn't tell my family that I was pregnant because I didn't want to like stress them out or ruin the vacation or anything, I actually went to band camp, which, if you don't know what band camp is, it's a 1-week marching excursion where you march for like 12 hours a day in the sun, and the only time you stop is for meals, basically. And it's for 5 or 6 days, I think. And I didn't tell anyone, so I went to band camp, and when I got back, I went and I got my pregnancy confirmed. My friend took me to one of these like free clinics where they can do a pregnancy test, and then they can do an ultrasound for free for the people who need it. And so that's where we went. I had to lie to my family. I told them I was going to a movie. And they figured that out later. They were like, you didn't go to a movie. But we went and we got it confirmed. And at the first ultrasound, it was me, my friend, and my boyfriend. And it was so crazy. It was probably one of the coolest experiences of my life to see like this living being growing inside of me. My first ultrasound, I was probably only 6 or 7 weeks. I wasn't very far along at all. And my second one, I was about 10 weeks, and it was at the same clinic. And just like to hear the heartbeat for the first time, it's one of the most beautiful things ever. I mean, my boyfriend and I were both crying, and I was so happy that this baby was already growing healthy as far as we could tell. So that was super, super exciting and definitely a huge relief. So overall, my first trimester was filled with anxiety and stress and worry. But as soon as my family found out, that was a huge burden off my chest and definitely resolved a lot of that. And making it into the second trimester definitely got rid of a lot of that worry too, because the highest risk for miscarriage is in the first trimester, and that was always a horrible fear of mine. That is my first trimester experience. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please leave them down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.